The Charlie Kirk assassination trial, day one. We'll tell you about it. If McConnell is gravely ill, which obviously he has been for a very long time, Kentucky deserves some answers, and they're not getting it, haven't been getting it. And finally, Young Washington, an apparently amazing film. Haven't seen it, likely won't get the chance, but the reviews are fantastic. We're going to have that for you. All right, here we go. Whoops, wait. No, we don't want that. Okay. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. We are live on Rumble and YouTube, both channels. Please subscribe or follow, whichever is the YouTube is subscribe, Rumble is follow. It's all free and it helps the show. So if you want to help the show, give us a subscribe and a follow, maybe even a like. There's a like button on both platforms. You can do that too. Morning, Marilyn. Bless you. And thanks for popping by. We appreciate you being here as always. We got a lot going on and we're going to cover a lot this morning. It is a Tuesday. And let's jump right into it. Here is what you need to know about day one of the Charlie Kirk assassination trial. I will tell you right now, in my considered opinion, having looked at whatever evidence is out there, I do not believe Tyler Robinson had virtually anything to do with the death of Charlie Kirk. But just my opinion, it will let you know where I am, where my head is at. So that's that. Tyler Robinson's defense attorneys objected to nearly every exhibit presented by prosecutors, including video of Kirk being shot, but they were overruled almost every single time. No surprise there. Preliminary hearings for the trial of Tyler Robinson, the man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk, started yesterday. Utah state prosecutors presented exhibits and sought their admission into the actual trial. Utah prosecutors brought expert witnesses to the stand to testify about how they were involved with police work surrounding the assassination at the Utah Valley University. They also presented multiple exhibits, including affidavits, video footages, images. Nearly every exhibit admitted into the trial, even though the defense objected after objection after objection from Robinson's attorney. In one case, the judge said alterations made to a compilation of videos made it inadmissible. One time out of all of the evidence. Now, before covering the exhibits presented at the hearing, some of the personnel who were introduced Monday, sure to be a part of the hearings, which end Friday, and the subsequent trial. Again, this is just the preliminary hearings. The judge presiding over the trial, Utah Court, 4th District Judge Tony Graff. He is for the state of Utah, Chad Grenander, Deputy Chief, Utah County Attorney's Office, veteran prosecutor, 22 years of experience in criminal law. David Sturgill, SUV Section Chief, Utah County Attorney General's Office. He is a veteran prosecutor and legal educator, 25 years of experience in the justice system in Utah. Now, Robinson's defense, Kathy Nestor, partner at Nestor Lewis, whose bio says she's been trying cases in federal and state courts for over 30 years. Richard Novak, Southern California defense lawyer, brought in to defend Robinson, former LA Superior Court judge, court judicial officer, and represented defendants, witnesses, and individuals under investigation by law enforcement and other government agencies for the past 20 years. Witnesses, Officer Chris Bagley is state witness number one. He's currently an officer with the Spanish Fork Police Department, but he was with the Utah Valley University Police Department on September 10th, 2025, when Kirk was killed. State witness number two, David Hull, a 12-year veteran of the Utah Department of Public Safety. At the time of the assassination, he was an investigator with DPS State Bureau of Investigation Major Crimes Unit and ultimately became the lead case agent for the Kirk assassination for the state of Utah. Now, on Monday, yesterday, they laid out a whole lot of the groundwork for what is to come in the trial, which started with rules and regulations about what kind of information could be shared publicly and to what extent. Judge Graff had already allowed a pool camera in the room, but he also put that camera under certain restrictions depending upon the kind of information each exhibit contained. Now, after blocking news reporters from having portable electronic devices, Graff also divided the admissibility into 3 different levels. That is, admitted as evidence to the record, that is published for the view of the courtroom, and that is published in a way that can be captured by the media and therefore the broader public. Graphic violence, like the ones depicting Kirk being shot, which most of us have all seen because it's all over the internet, only allowed at level 1, meaning only the judge, legal teams, and other officials will have access to the computer monitors in the courtroom. So, we've seen it. It's nothing new. Everybody on the planet has seen it. No big deal. He said Bagley testified to his experience on the security team of officers on the day of the event, described his view of Kirk, whom he said he saw fall to the left after hearing shots fired. In addition, he described students screaming and running in his attempt to preserve the crime scene and the commotion. Yeah, well, you did a pretty shitty job of it, pal. He also said he heard a person had been taken into custody shortly after Kirk was shot, but later that person, this idiot, was determined to have absolutely nothing to do with the shooting. And Nestor objected to every exhibit presented by prosecutors, including video of Kirk being shot. He was overruled, as we told you, on everything except one. Some of the edits included zooming red marks, directing viewers to look at a particular part of the video. That was the one thing the judge said, okay, we're not going to show that. So that's where it stood. Moving on to day 2 today, and we'll see what happens. It is likely to get dicier as the trial actually begins, which will be, I believe, on Friday. Is that what it said? Something like that. Yeah. So we'll keep you up to date. We'll let you know what's going on in this nightmare. Again, we're not going to cover this ad infinitum. There's not going to be every single show is going to have day 52. No, we're not doing that. But when something comes up that's important, we will bring it to you. I promise. We're covering it. We're keeping an eye on it. All right. Yesterday, I tried to bring you this case from Ohio, and apparently it had been completely scrubbed from the internet, at least on X, because I can't say as I blame the system, because it is a horrific story. And while I cannot find a detailed written synopsis of this story, I did find a news report from 13 News Now, which pretty much will bring you the details. I don't usually play these full report things, but in this case, it's the only way to get you the information, so I'm going to do that now. Pay attention because, frankly, this is beyond disturbing. Hang on just 1 second, and I will figure out why we do not have, there we go, why we do not have the sound. Here we go.
Discovery inside a small Ohio home. Officials rescuing 16 children they say were living in deplorable conditions. We do want to warn you, some of these details may be disturbing to hear. Here's ABC's Olivia Rubin.
Ohio authorities are calling it pure evil.
Just almost beyond comprehension.
16 children ranging from infant to teenager rescued from this small one-story home in deplorable conditions. County records showing it had just one bathroom.
Just where they were covered in bugs and squatting and had that distant look in their eyes. It's terrible.
Officials saying the children lived in a 12 by 12 area for years. The oldest child, 18 years old, unable to spell her name. Other children, they say, couldn't speak at all.
Most of our livestock was kept in better conditions than the children. It was extremely high presence, I'm sure, of bacterial and human feces. It was just a disgusting scene.
Investigators saying they went to the home this week to execute a search warrant in a separate but parallel investigation.
I think if they would have waited another 24 hours, there was a very high probability that we'd be dealing with a death or multiple deaths of these children.
These 4 adults, home at the time of the shocking discovery, now under arrest, appearing in court and facing 16 criminal charges each, including endangering children, all pleading not guilty.
This is an intra-family situation. Grandma, grandpa, father, and mother.
Some of those children are now being treated at nearby hospitals, 2 airlifted to trauma centers, and officials now being asked the key question here: how could this go unnoticed for so long?
That is exactly the question I have. How in the hell did somebody not know this was happening? How is that even possible? There are no words. And like that one police officer there said, if this had gone on even another, say, 24 hours from the condition these kids were in, at least one, if not many more, would have died. Unbelievable, these people. And did you see them? Oh yeah, they look like the pillars of society. Yeah, very nice. That's why it was so important I dig that story out when I couldn't get it to pop up yesterday. They had scrubbed it off of X, but we did find that report there from 13 News in Ohio. So thank you for that, 13. Appreciate it. It's just unbelievable. And almost equally as unbelievable, yet not as disgusting perhaps, is yet another blue state is absolutely, completely ignoring daycares that have no children and are getting massive subsidies. A daycare center with no children. Here we go again. There has been a lot come to light about the unbelievable fraud, billions of dollars perpetrated on we, the taxpayers. Medicare, Medicaid fraud, COVID relief fraud, food and fraud. And not the least of all, daycare fraud. All of these funneling money, which in the millions, like I said, very likely billions, away from the people that were supposed to getting help, to be getting help. And by the way, they still need that help. They're not getting it. That's something that gets forgotten in these stories we do. Yeah, okay, horrible, unbelievable. These absolute scum of the earth are stealing these possibly billions of dollars in fraud. But let's not forget the people that money was supposed to go to. Their situation hasn't changed. You add more to the list. Recent investigation by the Center Square in Washington revealed a bunch of daycare operators that had no children, but which were taking big, fat paychecks out of our pockets, you and I, the taxpayer. Many Washington state daycare providers received huge taxpayer subsidies, but an investigation by the Center Square found several had few, if any, children. And at least one establishment received hundreds of thousands of dollars despite residents at the listed address indicating it was not a daycare. Politicians who are supposed to be overseeing this spending, publicly they're saying, no problem. improper payments going to the daycares. Instead, they've been criticizing the journalists who are covering the story. Yeah. No, not one state official has announced any kind of an investigation or a crackdown through the legislature. Nothing. It exists. It's right there. The journalists are showing you this is what is happening. There's no kids in this daycare center, and yet they're getting hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. And the legislatures are saying, no problem. No problem. No problem with payments to daycare centers that have no kids. Seriously? Here's a bit from the report. According to fiscal.wa.gov, which is Washington, one daycare in West Seattle got more than $229,000 over 9 months, from July 2025 through March of this year. The residents at the home repeatedly told the Center Square there is no daycare at this home, and there never has been. Is there a daycare operated from here? The Center Square reporter asked. No, the person who answered the door said. The residents also said there has never been a daycare at this address. Some of these supposed daycare centers were getting over $20,000 a month with no children. How would you like an extra 20 grand a month, huh? 20K a month in your bank account for doing freak all nothing? This horrendous fraud being brought down on the heads of the taxpayers in the state of Washington, and politicians with oversight say, no problem. You elected these people, Washington. You're getting it, good and hard. And they don't see the people who are committing the fraud as a problem. They see the people who are reporting about the fraud, exposing the fraud. Oh, they're the problem. According to Attorney General Nick Brown, responding by encouraging anyone who sees a reporter harassing a daycare provider by knocking on the door, oh yeah, that's harassing, report it to the Hate Crimes Unit. Brown said, showing up on someone's porch, threatening or harassing them isn't an investigation. Neither is filming minors who may be in the home. This is unsafe and potentially dangerous behavior. I encourage anyone experiencing threats or harassment to either contact local law enforcement or our office's Hate Crimes and Bias Incident Hotline. Look, showing up at someone's door who is running a public service childcare and who is taking tens of thousands of dollars in payments from the taxpayers is not threatening, it's not harassing. It is asking a legitimate question into where millions of taxpayer money is going, to whom, and why. And why are these locations registered as daycare providers, the owner-operators' supposed businesses taking in tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars? And you know how many kids they have? None. None. And these ass-munching state legislators and officials are all going, no problem. What the hell? When you dine at the devil's table, You do not get to choose the menu. And when you accept taxpayer money, you've got to expect to be open to inquiry. People are going to ask questions which you should have an answer for. And since the state of Washington seems completely unable to conduct any kind of an investigation, that job becomes left to the journalists. It is literally their job. Minnesota, California, and now the great state of Washington. And here I'll end with this question. What do all those states have in common? I think you know the answer. Gosh and begorra, as my grandma used to say. Gosh and begorra. What a world, what a world. Obsessed with your wellness? You don't have to be so. You remember what your mom used to say, right? Eat your fruits and vegetables because they are good for you. She was right. They are good for you. They are the key to healthy living. And fruits and veggies, of course, are the anchor of any healthy diet. You can eat all the proteins and things like that you want, but if you don't get your fruits and vegetables, you're missing out. You've got to eat them. However, completely agree, they're a pain in the butt. You got to go shopping for them. They're perishable. They'll go bad before you can even get to eating them. And then when you do, you got to clean them, you got to cook them, you got to peel them, you got to do all that crap. It's just a pain in the butt, and nobody wants to go through it. But there is a way, and you're looking at it on your screen right now. Real organic superfood, which is Field of Greens from BRICKHOUSE Nutrition. They are a science-backed formula of specific, healthy, wholesome fruits and veggies. They're all ground up into an amazing tasting powder. You just mix a little teaspoonful in your favorite beverage, whatever it might be, green tea, orange juice, even just water if you want. Tastes amazing, fantastic flavors. And these are real USDA organic fruits and vegetables. They're not extracts. They're actual fruits and vegetables, organic USDA, and they're ground up, ready to eat, ready to drink, and they are so good for you. Comes in several great tasty flavors. You will love it. And like I said, it is good for you, and it will get you back on track. Field of Greens from BRICKHOUSE Nutrition in our description down below. Use that link, get yourself some great deals. Right now, they got 20% off over there. It's fantastic. Check them out. And by all means, check out Field of Greens from BRICKHOUSE Nutrition and all their other great products over there at BRICKHOUSE. Thank you, BRICKHOUSE, for being part of the shoe. We appreciate that. All right. What else is going on? All right, let's get right into this one because it's worth the time. I put this more towards the front when it probably belonged more towards the back of the show. Not a problem, because it's worth the time, apparently. Young Washington is a new film which introduces us and America to a Washington that honestly most people don't know anything about. If you've been following along, you know I'm a big fan of George Washington. I'm a firm believer he was the one indispensable man of the American project. His private life, pretty much beyond reproach. He was on the cutting edge of Virginia gentry's weaning themselves from betting their existence on the price of Glasgow merchants would pay for tobacco. Clearly out of his depth tactically in the early part of the American Revolution, but Washington thought big. And that's likely what carried him through. He believed in the cause, and his moral, physical example held a battered Continental Army together when, by all rights, it very well should have melted away. His example of forbidding a military coup during the Newburgh conspiracy and voluntarily vacating the presidency after 2 terms set the tone for the military's approach to politics and basically the peaceful change of governments. This film, Young Washington, has been released by Angel Studios. They've been reviewed several times on this program. Things like The Sound of Freedom. Remember that amazing film? The Chosen, massive following. Young Washington begins with the death of Augustine Washington in 1743, which left 11-year-old George and his widowed mother Mary in kind of absolute poverty. George is mentored, schooled by his half-brother Lawrence. No money to send George back to England for a proper education. That includes a theme that runs throughout the rest of the movie, actually. Washington's ambitions stymied at every turn by his lack of social standing, which he overcomes by perseverance, native talent. He also learns a very valuable life lesson about social status when the woman who was the love of his life, Sally Carey, becomes engaged to George Fairfax because money, status, and also because of money and status. You know what I mean? Now, the movie covers Washington's mission to deliver Governor Dinwiddle's demarche to the French commander at Fort Le Boeuf. Christopher Gist's epic midwinter journey from Fort Le Boeuf to Williamsburg. The battles at Fort Necessity and Braddock Defeat are inspiring despite some AI slop that kind of made its way into the movie, like 4-wheeled cannons. And no, they didn't have those. Anyway, the cinematography does a great job of capturing the size of colonial America. Characters written so they don't really apologize for the society they live in. Nobody rails against slavery, classism, gargles on and on about stolen land. Those things exist, but they simply are. That's just the way it is. Characters in their time, which is kind of refreshing to see in a film. Not trying to pretend to teach you any moralistic life lessons on one way or the other. It is, by all means, a brilliant film. And we do. I want to play, again, it's long, but it is worth your time. And it is the actual trailer for the film Young Washington, which is in cinemas right now.
What happened, Washington? All those bullet holes in your jacket. How are you alive?
I don't know. You have no military service.
And it's just around the bend.
You are a boy. You are not British, yet they send you to speak for them. So that when you fail, they'll have someone to blame.
Young Washington, you lost in the New World.
Who does own this land, if not the one who has the will to tame it? You do not want to start a war.
What do?
We fight!
Hold your ground! There is no retreat!
What are you called?
My name is George Washington.
Help us make this the #1 movie on America's 250th. Pre-order.
Wow. Did I tell you? Seriously, great, great looking film. I don't know if here where I live I'm going to be able to see it. Chances are I have to watch it online eventually. But it is in theaters right now, and I encourage you to go check it out because it is a brilliant, brilliant film. While it's still in theaters, make the time. All right, here we go again with this knucklehead. Mitch McConnell apparently is gravely ill. Now, we don't wish any harm to anyone. But the reality is that Mitch McConnell has been a turnip for many, many years. And he should have done the right thing, and he chose, or his people chose, not to for all these many, many years. So this absolute stalk of celery has been serving for all these many years. You think Biden was bad? Oh, this guy. And Kentucky really honestly deserves some clarity. He is in the hospital. He is 84 years old. He is surrounded by more rumor than fact. From the AP, McConnell admitted on June 14th, according to a statement from his office, that only said he was receiving excellent care. A week later, said he would not be voting this week. Thursday, new statement said he continues to improve and appreciates the outpouring of support received while he continues to his recovery in the hospital. His office has not released any updates since then, and a spokeswoman did not return a request for comment on Monday. Now, before politics enters the room, prayers certainly should. There's no doubt about that. I can't read about a possible heart crisis or a stroke. I don't think about friends I've known whom I have lost who did not make it from a stroke or heart attack. McConnell isn't only a husband, a father, a grandfather. He is a Kentucky senior senator holding one of 100 seats in a chamber where every vote cast decides war powers, judges, spending, taxes, the president's agenda. That is one of 100 seats that is incredibly critical. If he's recovering, Kentucky deserves to know enough to trust that he actually is recovering. But if he's gravely ill, then Kentucky also deserves to know the truth without any cruelty. Conservative activist Laura Loomer, journalist Desiree Townsend claimed Monday McConnell has been declared brain dead, citing unnamed sources. McConnell's office has not confirmed nor denied that claim. Publicly, the office said he's continuing his recovery. After being admitted June 14th, details scarce. Phrases like brain dead should not be tossed around as ordinary gossip. Brain death is a medical and a legal determination, not a political, well, it can be a political insult, but not in this case. And believe me, I am not a Mitch McConnell fan. He's been a tomato for a long time and should never have held on to his seat. He should have resigned years ago. Now, if this claim is false, it's cruel. If it's true, then the silence we're hearing from public officials becomes pretty hard to defend as the hours pass. McConnell has not been a Trump loyalist. He broke with President Trump often enough to earn a lot of anger from the right, praise from the people who once treated him as a villain. If McConnell's condition worsens, you watch the script change. Someone's going to recast him as some brave institutionalist because he opposed Trump at all the key moments. Others going to fall back into the old habit of treating any Republican as disposable, as useless ends. Either way, the Senate deserves better than a screenplay written by people who hated him on Tuesday and then needed him on Wednesday. This lack of detail also has a practical side. McConnell stepped down from the Senate Republican leadership in January of last year. Served his final term, not seeking re-election in 2026. Should have been probably 2021, but here we go. His current term ends next January. If he can't serve, then Kentucky law no longer gives Governor Anthony Beshear a simple appointment power. 2024 law repealed the state statute requiring the governor to fill the U.S. Senate vacancies and shifted that process to a special election. Oh, yeah. People don't need private medical charts. They need the basic truth, McConnell's camp. Is McConnell conscious? Is he awake? Is he communicating? Is he able to review his work for the Senate? Has a doctor cleared him to perform all of his public duties? Kentucky deserves answers. He doesn't represent me. I don't give a fat rat's ass. But people in Kentucky, you should. You should be screaming for answers. Who's representing you in the Senate? Those are not meant to be savage questions. They're public service questions asked with respect for a man and a state. Despite my personal feelings about Mitch McConnell, Kentucky deserves answers and clarity, and they absolutely are not getting it. Trillionaires. Would I fall into that? Oh, I don't think I made that category. Not quite yet. I got a few billion more to go. Actually, quite a few billion. But apparently, trillionaires like Elon Musk are not a problem for America. Envious leftists are the problem. Multi-millionaire politicians denounce billionaires as the source of all evil, to the applause of college graduates pretending to be the working class. It is a farce. The billionaires are not the problem, and neither are is the trillionaire, which would the only one would be Elon Musk. But Democrats say, no, we disagree. There are incessant denunciation of billionaires from Democrats' Bernie Sanders wing, which has seized control of the party completely. Their fulminations against wealth become louder still when SpaceX going public pushed Elon in and over the $1 trillion mark. One congressman whined, "Trillionaires shouldn't exist in a moral society." Idiot. Of course, a lot of those people making these arguments are themselves fabulously wealthy. Did you check that, by the way? Oh, yeah. No intention of giving up their own millions, nonetheless, continuously persist in blaming the problems of the world and the nations and their own lives on the ultra-rich. They've also been calculating, often wrongly, the various ways Musk's wealth could be spent if it were just taken away from him. They say we could fix society. We just have to get the rich to spend on the poor, which, knuckleheads, won't work. Democrats are incredibly wasteful. We've seen that how many times? How many times? Government funds trillions of government dollars already spent on health care, on education, etc., etc. And a bit more is not going to make that much of a difference. Think about it. Democrats tend to believe wealth comes from exploitation. The haves are taking advantage of the have-nots. The reality is that wealth is not zero-sum. The truth is, we are naturally poor. Life in the state of nature, whatever that precisely means, is nasty, it's brutish, it's short. But wealth can be created. Generating wealth is more than just labor. Hard work isn't always very productive, which is why the subsistence farming that most of humanity engaged in for most of history did not make the farmers rich, fabulously wealthy. They weren't. Wealth is produced by tools, techniques, organizations, and the sweat of your brow. There's also legal, cultural prerequisites for wealth creation, preservation, rules of law, property rights, a high trust society. The list goes on and on and on. These conditions give us the abundance of modern life, in which even if the rich get richer, the poor get iPhones and many, many, many more calories than you actually need. Right, 300-pound Bertha? Ours, frankly, is not the best of all possible worlds, but we are materially better. Think about it. Materially, we are better than all of humanity that came before us. Every single one. Conditions now, honestly, better than anything that would result from letting bitter socialists run things. But that's not really about economics. It's about envy, resentment. The right mocks the gender study majors who end up as indebted, underemployed baristas or perpetual NGO interns. Those folks can still organize and vote, and they do. They're angry, they're eager to burn down a system that hasn't given them what they want. Their bitterness encouraged by historical ignorance, whiny DSA types who have no idea of exactly how good they've got it compared to nearly every other person who has ever lived. You get it now? Think about it. Your life, your circumstances, no matter how bad they are still better than anyone who's ever lived. No, you're not Elon Musk, but you don't have to be. You're not so much oppressed, ungrateful for the blessings you have. You're envious of those people who have more. Envy finds political expression in mass movements, where ideologues, hucksters, harness it for political power and personal profit. And so multi-millionaire politicians denounce the billionaires, of course, as the source of all evil, which the college graduates, pretending to be the working class. Golf clap. Yay! Right on, brother. It's a farce. But it's a farce with real power at stake. Some of these fools are deadly serious. And we absolutely should be taking them that way. Maryland, you lost power. You're just getting, what a nightmare. For those just 2 minutes being out, scroll back to see what you missed. Yeah, watch it again later. That's fine. No problem. All right, I got one for you. I hope, look, if you're watching on your phone, if you're watching on a laptop, that's fine. You just have to pull this full screen. But if you're watching on your phone, you got to go full screen, tip it sideways to really get this to work. It's amazing. It is absolutely phenomenally weird. This is an illusion, but you've got to follow. I mean, the guy's talking below here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay. You see up above the plus sign with the two images? And then you've got the guy down below. Now, honestly, that's just damn distracting because the guy down below is going to be giving you the instructions on what to do. Don't get distracted and look down at him. You see that plus sign? You stare at that plus sign. I'll give you a second to get your phone oriented so it's as big a picture as you can get. All right? You got it? Watch that plus sign as you watch these images and see what happens. This is so weird.
This visual illusion is so weird. Focus on the cross between these two photographs. As you're staring at that cross, the photos of the famous people are going to begin to change. Don't be distracted by that. Just keep focused on the cross. After a couple of seconds, something weird should start to happen. The faces begin to look strange, disfigured. It's like the features are all out of proportion. What you're experiencing is something called the flashed face distortion effect. What's actually happening is your brain is holding onto previous images and overlaying those on new photographs as they appear in your peripheral vision. Because you're staring at the cross and not looking at the photographs directly, your brain is trying to fill in the gaps. You might think that I've edited these photographs to make them look strange, but that's not the case. Feel free to watch this entire video again and you'll see that they're all legit. So did the flash face distortion effect work for you? If you want to see more weird illusions, just like this one, hit follow.
Did it work? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play it again. This time, just look randomly at the left or right picture as it plays through. Here, I'll start
Focus on
playing
the cross
now.
between these two photographs.
You know what? Let me just dump this guy's talking because it's annoying. But watch as you go through these pictures. Look at the left or look at the right. Don't stare at the cross and see what happens. Not one of those pictures is weird. Each one of them is just a normal picture. But as the narrator said, your brain is filling in missing bits of information or trying to, and that's why when you weren't directly looking at the pictures, it was doing that. You see that? Every one of these pictures, absolutely normal. How weird is that? This little thing up here, man, unbelievable. Unbelievable. So when you think you got some problems, just remember you are carrying around this incredible, weird little computer on your shoulders. Oh, man, I love that. That was such a cool thing. All right, thank you for popping by. We appreciate it. We are done with our Tuesday show. We'll be back tomorrow for Hump Day, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Enjoy it. We'll see you tomorrow.